Chefs About Town is brought to you in part by Loxton De-Alcoholized Wines, the elegant alternative wine for your non-drinking guests who enjoy the taste of wine. Remember Loxton. And by Summerhill Estate Winery, BC's first champagne house from the pristine Okanagan Valley in beautiful British Columbia. Your celebration deserves purity. Both proud sponsors of British Columbia's regional food and wine program, Chefs About Town.
Mitch Laser on guitar, James Hill on sax. Thanks, guys. My name is Gary Faessler. This is Chefs About Town, the show for people who really love good food. Thanks for joining us today. And my guest today, I'm very excited about this, is Rodney Butters, Executive Chef, Pacific Palisades Hotel, the Monterey Lounge and Grill restaurant.
Nice to be in your kitchen, Gary.
Nice for you to be here, man. And we have the most gorgeous meat laid out here.
Well, today we're going to do 2 cuts of venison. We're going to grill some chops.
Look at this.
And then we're going to braise some shanks with some great autumn squash.
Now, this is...
A delicata squash.
Delicata.
And a buttercup.
Because there are a number of different squashes
1,000
in British Columbia, and I think most people just know of a couple. And I think
it's nice to do something different.
It really is, because they're probably one of our most misunderstood vegetables.
That's right.
You know, misused.
And then we're going to make some wild grain sausages, something very unique. So
wild grain sausages.
Wild grains.
And that'll be the starch with the
dish.
With the venison.
That's right. So we better get going.
We better get going. We have a lot of work to do, and I know.
I'll get you starting
working,
on these shallots
to
chop.
Now, how do you want these? Just
a rough dice.
Okay.
And as you do that, I'm going to start with the venison shanks.
Now this is BC venison, right?
This is beautiful BC venison.
Do you do a lot of this type of thing at the restaurant?
Yeah, especially this time of year, I try to keep with the seasonal menus and a real hearty type of dish. And
tell me a little bit about your background. I know you've cooked with a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Gary Faessler.
Mr. Gary Faessler, I worked with in the Vancouver Four Seasons.
And he's at the Olympic Hotel at the
in
Four
Seattle.
Seasons in Seattle now.
Very good friend of mine,
he's
actually.
Great. He's great.
Very good cook, very creative.
And you work with Bernard?
I worked with Bernard Casavan in the Chateau Whistler. Him and I opened the hotel 4 years ago.
Right. And what was that like? I mean, I haven't been to
it was crazy. I don't think I'll ever open a hotel again.
Really?
Very hectic.
What was that, something like $80-something million, or it keeps getting higher?
It was up there, especially with the golf course just opening last year. So here we're frying some cinnamon.
A little cinnamon.
As you chop the shallots.
Right. Do you want all these chopped?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to use it in the grains as well.
Okay.
So with the shanks in a hot pan. We want to brown the meat.
Okay.
Just to seal in the juices.
I think I'll change knives here. So we just do this very quickly, medium-high heat. What kind of oil do you have here?
I have some homemade rosemary oil. Very simple. Just take some olive oil.
Very nice.
And just take some fresh herbs.
And put them in the oil and leave them for how long?
I try to leave them in there for a couple of weeks until I start to use it.
And the rosemary actually infuses into the oil and becomes an integral part of the oil, and it really tastes like rosemary.
So as these venison shanks are going, I think we'll we'll start with the wild grains for the sausages, because it's going to take a while for the grains to cook. So what we have is some wild rice. We're just going to put in the pot here. And some barley. Going to add some chicken stock.
I have to mention, how do you feel about those cubes that some people use?
I think if you're in a real pinch for something to use, I think it's better to use those than it is just to use water out of the tap. Especially with the quality of water lately, unless you have purified water.
So that's interesting. I think that water is the missing link that most people neglect to think of.
Right.
Because bad water is...
Yeah, try to use a pure water.
In soups and stocks, it's really important.
So we have the shanks browning nicely here. If you could just pass me some of those shallots.
Okay, actually, just about... There we go. Just throw them in there?
Just throw them in.
All of them?
Sure.
Okay.
That's great.
Perfect. We have perfectly clean hands, by the way.
Cooks always do.
Cooks always do.
Smell the cinnamon? Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Actually, the combination of the cinnamon and the onions are already starting to caramelize.
Right. So we have the shallots, and then to this we're going to have some Okanagan sun-dried cherries.
Oh, aren't those lovely? Now, did you dry these yourselves, or I'm probably putting you on the spot here, but...
I'll tell you the truth, Gary. I didn't.
Okay.
But they're very easy to do.
So is there some place people can buy these?
Galloway's, any deli. I'm sure Granville Island has some places there that sell them.
Well, that's why I asked, actually, just in case people want to know.
And they're very, very tasty. So this we're just going to add some of the venison stock that I've made.
My God,
look at that.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, rich brown color.
Man. I love the idea of the sun-dried cherries with the venison and the cinnamon.
It should go very well together.
Well, the sun-dried cherries is going to have a very intense cherry fruit flavor.
Right.
The cinnamon's going to give it that nice spiciness. And you need those strong flavors with this stock.
It looks good already,
oh, it looks,
even though it's
looks
not
great.
cooked. So we're going to put the lid on. And we're going to put it in the oven. In about a 325-degree oven. And for that, I like to let it braise very, very slowly, probably for about 2 hours.
2 hours?
Yes.
Okay, well, we've got about 2 hours. Yeah, no problem. Listen, let's just talk about the wine quickly.
Great.
Yeah, well, not quickly. Let's talk about it casually. And let's have some. Actually, do you have a towel there? I have shallots all over my person. Okay, great. This is a Chancellor red wine.
Chancellor from Cedar Creek.
And
92.
The wine maker is Anne Sperling, who's one of our finest winemakers in British Columbia, up in the Okanagan, up at in Kelowna.
That's right.
The Kelowna area, and this is one of the oldest red grape varietals grown in British Columbia, the Chancellor grape, and I think she's done a wonderful job
since the early '60s. Actually,
well, let's not wait. Let's taste it. I think this is going to go. I think you're right.
I think it's a great grape to go with anything. The stewed item of the shanks, and also too when we do the venison chops, it's going to be a perfect match for both of them. So
it's going to be terrific. Listen, I was lucky enough to have a conversation with Anne up at the winery during a vineyard picnic during the Okanagan Wine Festival. It's like the worst time to visit a winemaker in the Okanagan.
That's right.
In the fall.
I'm sure she got you to do some work.
Well, no, she wanted to, but anyway, I have a great little bit of film. So let's take a look at that afternoon's conversation with Anne Sperling, and we'll be right back.
Determines if the canopy is correct.
Good, get it, yeah.
Thank you.
I got about 3 times as much. I guess I really rate. Cheers.
Cheers. You can determine it, and the canopy's okay.
Anne, it's great to be here at Cedar Creek. Thanks for taking the time out in a very busy time for you. Oh. Now, what is that gunshot? Is that to scare the birds?
Yes, that's right. It's not a real gunshot.
It's a propane. It's like a little cannon.
Powered, right, looks like a small cannon.
I hope you heard that at home, but there's a small cannon shot. And that's to scare the robins and starlings and things, because at this time of year, the grapes are at their best, and they're full of sugar and juice, and they're just beautiful, and of course the birds love them too.
Yeah, everything we like about them, the birds love even more.
That's right. So, and this is a kind and humane way to scare the birds
scare them away.
Let's try some wine. You have some Gewürztraminer?
That's right. I'd like you to try some.
I'd love to try some. It's so nice out here today. It's October. It's the wine festival, the harvest, the crush, that great time of year.
Yeah, and well, in fact, we're picking Gewürz today.
Are you? Oh, perfect. That's very timely. So it's a nice nose. Now tell me a little bit about this wine. This is
Our 1991 Gewürz.
This is the flagship of your varietals of your wines, and it's what perhaps Cedar Creek is best known for.
Right, we've really built a reputation for our Gewürz, and what was exciting for me is last year, coming in my first year at Cedar Creek, the 91 vintage being my first vintage, and having to sort of take over that legacy, and it was a real challenge for me, and I think that it's turned out extremely well.
You must be very charged up because it's the wine festival, it's the harvest, it's the busiest and most important time of year for you, but also it's a wine festival. There are competitions. This is your first, the first year that you've actually been able to have a finished product that you started from harvest to the very end, the 1991 vintage here in 1992, and so and I think from tasting this, and you shouldn't worry. You're probably going to sweep the board with awards.
Yeah, we'll see. But you're right. This is a pretty fun and stressful time of year.
We're
having
it's
fun.
Like my show.
We're making lots of decisions. We're working hard, and we also have everyone watching. So it's a pretty exciting time of year.
What other varietals? I mean, these wines, these are, as I said, your first vintage here at Cedar Creek.
Right.
What other varietals do you like? These are all your children, of course. Do you have a favorite?
Well, last year being a very good year, we had a very warm fall. We had excellent grapes to start with. Right. And so I think we've produced some very good wines. And I was particularly pleased with some of our barrel fermented wines, our Pinot Blanc, and in particular our Chardonnay.
And a lot of people are not familiar with Chardonnays in the Okanagan. We do some really nice Chardonnays here in BC.
Right. I think the vineyards are more and more mature, so they're contributing more flavors.
Of course, it changes.
We're learning how to grow them better.
Every year the vines get better too. Let's try a little bit of the Chardonnay.
Sure.
I'm glad it's open. Now that Gewürztraminer is wonderful. Well, let's try this. Now, it's a little bit deeper in color, of course, because of the varietal, but it's very young, eh? 1991.
Right, the 1991. We're just actually releasing it. And
there's oak on this.
Yes, it was fermented in some older French oak barrels and on the lees for 4 months. And then we cleaned the lees out of the barrels and put it back in.
Do you mind, for people who don't know, could you explain what the lees are? Because that's an important part of making of this wine.
Right. Well, the lees is actually the yeast cells that once they've finished the fermentation, they fall to the bottom of the barrel.
That's right.
But at that time, the yeast are not active, but they do contribute some flavors that perhaps is toasty or buttery flavors.
Exactly. That butter, maybe it's a bit. I detect some butterscotch, buttery, toasty, as you say. It's very, very nice.
Right, and that's the older barrels and the lees. And then we produced some of the wine in stainless steel to retain some of the fruit and the acidity. And we blended that back just prior to bottling to give it a little bit more liveliness to go with food better.
So some you've done in stainless steel?
Right.
And some in oak?
Right, it's about 60% in oak and 40% in stainless steel.
No kidding. Okay, so is that marked on the label?
No, we haven't put that on because each year the proportions might change a tiny bit.
Different.
And it just depends right down to the last minute before we're bottling. I'm putting the blends together and tasting them to come up with the final blend.
And it's so many people don't realize how much work it is as a vintner. It's not just what you do with the juice once you have it. It's at this time of year you have to be very careful when to pick the grapes, how long you leave, and of course it changes from varietal to varietal.
That's right.
Not every variety is the same, so you want to leave some grapes on a little longer, but that's the time that you have to know when you're out there tasting the grapes, know when to pick them, and then you have the juice and you make the wine, and then as you say, you blend some steel Chardonnay with the oak Chardonnay to get
the right balance.
The right balance,
That's
that character, that's your signature.
Yeah,
you know?
that's right.
No two people, no two winemakers are going to make the same wine from the same varietal. You know, Anne has her own way, and now everyone knows what she's doing. But you can't copy. It's like a recipe, you know. You can write down a recipe, but you can't copy it exactly. And you couldn't even make this wine the same next year.
No, and
because the grapes would be different.
That's right. That's the beauty of
the oak could be a little older or a little younger. Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Well, we'll have some older barrels and younger barrels and all of that, and that all contributes.
There's one more thing I'd like to talk about very quickly before we go, and that's this is very, very special. This is an ice wine, a very limited amount, limited edition. It's a Riesling.
Yes, it's made from our own estate-grown Riesling. We produced it last fall in the cold snap we had, which was actually a blessing because we have Riesling.
You didn't expect it to happen
wine,
either.
Yeah, no.
You didn't expect to make this ice wine, but the grapes froze, and you went out there. Did you get all your friends and everyone?
Well, we had a crew ready to come out, and
great.
all of our best people actually that work in the vineyard, and we had them come out and carefully handle the grapes because it's a very delicate process.
They're all frozen.
And you have to do everything while the grapes are still frozen, so it's timely, and we were up late and up early, and
you only have that one
we didn't
opportunity
sleep for about 2 days.
And that, you know, there's a lot of labor. There's a lot of labor of love in this wine. It's a limited edition. There are very few bottles, 80 cases, I think.
That's right.
So seek it out. It's well worth a purchase. And well, listen, Anne, we've got to go back to the studio, so let's wrap this up. And thanks, Anne Sperling, for joining us at a very busy time of year.
Oh, thank you for joining us, Gary.
Thanks. Great to be here. Anytime. Back to Vancouver. I wouldn't mind being back up at the Okanagan right now, actually. Sitting there talking with Anne,
especially
sipping on
with
wine.
this weather.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're making the sausages now.
Yes, the grains have cooked off. I've cooled them down and added some chopped herbs to them, and we've got some hog casings here.
Hog casings?
Hog casings. So we stuff it in, this has to be done by hand. It's a little labor intensive, but it's actually very easy.
A little messy?
A little messy.
But it's okay to get messy in the kitchen.
So we stuff the grains through the sausage tube, and once you get the size of sausage, pull on it like that.
Okay.
And
hey,
cut some off. And look, presto,
now, how do these
sausage.
casings come in a package, or?
You can buy them from any butcher shop. They come in a big roll, and you soak them in water.
Right. Just
and
for people who don't know.
To use.
And and just tie them up and voila.
There we go.
And
sausage.
And for those who, I know because people are right now wondering, where can I buy one of these?
Mingwo.
Mingwo?
Or any kitchen store, I'm sure.
Well, that's great. Okay.
But maybe as I'm doing this, Gary, you can start slicing the squash for our dish. I know
now, how do you want the
busy
slice?
talking about wine.
Chef, how do you want this slice?
Very, very thinly.
Very, very thinly.
Very
okay,
thin.
there go my fingers. Okay, fine.
And as you're slicing the squash, I'm going to cut some of this beautiful loin of venison here. Look at the color on that.
Oh, man, that's amazing. That is beautiful. So I guess you're getting pretty busy right now.
We're heading into our very busy season.
You were saying earlier about...
I've always got time to come to your kitchen now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I guess a break is kind of nice, actually.
And needed.
And needed. And necessary, yeah.
So here I've cut 2 venison chops. And we're just going to season it with some salt and pepper. Very simple. We want the venison to come through with its natural flavor.
Chef, how many of these do you want me to slice?
Well, enough for the both of us.
Oh, okay.
I think that's probably
not the
good
whole
right
thing,
there,
though.
Gary.
Okay. I'm trying to get them as thin as possible without slicing my fingers off. At home, you know, you could whip this off, but, you know, inevitably you're going to cut yourself on camera.
And maybe if you just want to put it on the plate beside you and toss it in some of the organic pumpkin oil.
Yeah, isn't this great stuff? Omega Oils, which is here in Vancouver.
It's beautiful. It's really going to add some nutty flavor to the squash once we put it into our beautiful cast iron skillet.
Isn't this a great skillet? I love this skillet. I've never seen a cast iron skillet
this big. We could use
that
as a hot tub. We'll throw some water in.
Okay, after the show. Okay. you want me to just toss this in?
We'll toss the squash.
Oh, right.
Because the pan is very hot.
Look at the color of this this oil. Now I gotta taste this too. Wow, it's very intense pumpkin flavor.
With the venison chops, I'm just going to put a little bit of the rosemary oil on here.
Well, I can do this on the board. It's no big deal.
And then into a very, very hot cast iron skillet.
Very hot, very hot. I can feel the heat. It's incredible.
It must be smoking. So we want to be charring these venison chops. I'd like to serve them rare.
Oh, good.
So we get the full flavor of the venison.
That's how I like it. Well, I think the meat's ruined if you overcook it too much.
I think so, especially with the venison nowadays.
Right.
You know, it's very, very tender. You don't want to spoil it by overcooking it.
Oh, so you're saying the quality of the venison is so, so superior.
It's far superior.
I'm sorry, Chef. When are we going to toss these in? Much later, I guess, eh?
Just almost when the venison is almost cooked.
Okay, right. Not right away.
In the meantime, I'm going to start sautéing off our sausages.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get that going. So again, a little bit of the rosemary. I like to keep the same flavors going throughout the dish.
Oh, you can smell the rosemary coming off the oil now that it's cooking. Well, it's very, very intense. Wonderful flavor.
So with these sausages, you must be careful, otherwise the sausage casings are going to split. So just on a very low heat. I see our chops are searing.
Woo!
Look at that.
Man, we're cooking now. This is great.
Meanwhile, our shanks are braising.
Oh, yeah. How are they?
I can't wait to try them.
Are they going to be okay for a while?
They're going to be fine.
For how much longer?
I'd say probably another 10 minutes.
Okay, well, I was
We're almost ready to eat.
I was panicking there for a minute.
So you can throw the squash in now.
It's my big job.
And again, with the seeds, don't worry about the seeds. That's just going to add to the whole flavor of the dish.
Right. Actually, pumpkin seeds are great. Or squash seeds. Yeah.
So the sausages are sauteing. We've got these going.
So I'll put some more seeds in there, actually. Good.
That's the best part. So we want to get some color onto the squash.
Right. This is actually one of my favorite squash, And I like making soup from the squash. Isn't it great?
It's very sweet, very delicate.
It's very delicate and sweet, and
that's why they call it delicata.
Oh, there you go.
So we'll just keep turning the chops.
Now, how long do we cook these for?
These don't take very long. You just want to get a little bit of color on the casings.
Because they're already cooked, really.
Exactly.
We just want to warm them through.
All we're doing is we're heating them through and getting some color onto the casings.
Okay. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, plate everything,
and we're going to eat and drink
yak
some
about
wine.
it. Yeah, and drink some wine, and we'll be right back.
Kitchen facilities provided by the De Breuil French Culinary School.
And we're back. Okay, so we're almost finished.
We're almost there. We're almost ready to put it on a plate.
These are still really nice and rare.
Very rare.
By the way, a lot of people don't know how to check for rareness or doneness on meat. And just very quickly.
Well, you can buy one of those little cow stickers, that pop up when it says rare.
Oh, really?
But,
they have those? I've never seen one.
But years of experience actually tells
you can
me
touch
that
the
it's
meat,
rare. But you can actually use your thumb in here.
Your muscle right here. If you tense really hard and press, that's like well done. And if you relax a little bit, it's like medium. Relax more, it's medium rare, that kind of thing. And so that's how we know that it's still rare.
Right.
And the squash looks done. Let's plate this.
Okay, and the shanks.
Oh, let's get the shanks out.
Oh, you can just smell
I can't wait.
The oven here.
Can't wait. Look at that. All right. The cinnamon and the cherries and the stock.
It's gonna go fabulous with the wine.
But
the fruitiness.
you can smell just like a good wine. You know, it's the anticipation before you taste.
Right.
You can smell what this is going to taste like right now. It's going to be fantastic.
So we got the venison shank, and we'll just take some of this the sauce.
Just to go over this again. Now, how long did we cook the shank for in the oven?
A minimum of 2 hours or until tender at about 325 degrees. The slower, the better. It'll help develop the flavor.
And everyone's oven's a little different, so check
That's
it,
right.
you know, once in a while.
Put some of that delicious sauce onto there.
I think vegetarians might be cringing right now, but you do some vegetarian things at the restaurant as well.
Yes, we do. We try to cater to a large market of clients.
Okay.
So again, with this chop, I'm going to just cut it in half, show how it's done.
Oh, look at that. Beautiful.
And then we'll put a couple of these sausages. Take some fresh rosemary, since that's what we highlighted. Stick it in there. There we go.
That is beautiful.
Bon
That's
appetit.
beautiful. Yeah, hey, that's fantastic. And I'm going to taste this in a minute. I can't wait to try it either. Look at this. Okay, now, give me a little bit of background. We should state that this is winter of 1993, because the shows do tend to repeat, thank goodness, over a long period of time. You've have been chef at the Pacific
Palisades for 2 months now.
Palisades for 2 months, and
so really trying to get in with the hearty fare of winter.
Right.
Highlighting the squashes from an organic supplier up in Pemberton, because I used to work in Whistler at the chateau up there. So my suppliers come down once a week with all of my organic squash and pumpkins. And
let's talk about that for a moment. I mean, you have connections up in Whistler, but I'm sure you have connections in the Fraser Valley.
Everywhere.
You know, wherever, like, okay, in Pemberton, British Columbia, by Whistler, don't they grow the best potatoes?
The best
potatoes in the world?
The best.
You know, so you have one producer that's growing wonderful potatoes.
And many kinds of potatoes. So I really try to highlight what's in season, the squashes. Again, you'll only see one type of vegetable here. I don't foresee any need for any carrots or asparagus that are out of season. And
you don't want to gild the lily. You have the
it.
venison, you have nice squash.
And some beautiful handmade plates from a potter in Whistler by the name of Vincent Massey.
Right, a friend of yours who made these plates for you.
Handmade for myself.
Yeah, I don't mind giving this guy a plug. I mean,
That's
this is a BC show for
he's
BC
great.
artists.
The color in there really shows off the venison.
I think so.
I can't wait to try this.
I can't wait. Listen, I'm going to tuck into this right now, if you don't mind.
Let's get a knife and fork.
Just so people know that, yes, indeed, we do love our food, and look at that. Look at that. You know, I haven't eaten all day, and I am ravenous. I am starving. Even though I do a cooking show, and for hours and hours, I don't get to eat all that much. Oh, thank you. It's wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Rodney Butters. I'm talking on television for months, I don't believe this. Executive Chef, Pacific Palisades Hotel. My name is Gary Faessler for Chefs About Town. Thank you for joining us again. Until we see you next time, eat well, drink well. Excuse me. And why don't you guys send us out while I finish chewing, okay? Bye.
Chefs About Town is brought to you in part by Loxton De-Alcoholized Wines, the elegant alternative wine for your non-drinking guests who enjoy the taste of wine. Remember Loxton. And by Summerhill Estate Winery, BC's first champagne house from the pristine Okanagan Valley in beautiful British Columbia. Your celebration deserves purity. Both proud sponsors of British Columbia's regional food and wine program, Chefs About Town.
Chefs About Town, British Columbia's first regional food and wine series, is now available on 5 VHS video cassettes. Each tape consists of 2 selected 30-minute programs and easy-to-follow recipe cards for only $16 plus tax. The Chefs About Town video library can be purchased at the following locations: